The other day, I kept seeing posts about some new indie show, Wastelandia, so I decided to check it out, and
Wow, that was the worst piece of crap I've ever seen.
that terrible experience reminded me of something. I hate indie animation. Before I get called a sack of shit, just let me get my points out there. Indie animation has a handful of good contenders. Like, there are a few I really like, but a lot of them are not very good. The best example I can think of when it comes to bad indie animation is the one I just watched, Wastelandia. I want to talk about some specific shows, but keep in mind, there are a few good ones. By the way, no hate to anybody mentioned in the video. I just do not like most indie animation. Wastelandia is an indie animated show created by Izzy's. I think I said that right. Surrounding 3 dogs living together, with one working minimum wage, the other a stay-at-home bum, and a college student who can't seem to have anything go right for her. The premise sounds completely uninteresting, I know, but where it really strikes out is its storytelling capabilities. You cannot get many stories out of this premise. Hell, you'd be lucky if you even get like another episode on your hand, because even this one didn't even have a storyline. All the characters, they have the possibility to like work well off of each other. It's only a 6-minute runtime, no time to have a real story. It establishes its characters well, and they have the possibility to work off each other. But the writer is not very competent. It relies on pop culture and early 2000 cartoons. You would not believe the amount of times it mentioned Twitter and Reddit in the first minute. It's insane. It does have a few pros, though. Really nice animation and a very good art direction, reminiscent of, again, 2000s cartoons. But without a story, there's no substance to it. Relying way too much on nostalgia of pop culture, its cons weigh it down more than its pros. Overall, a 3 out of 10. The next one will surely get me into more trouble than I already am. But I am not too fond of...
She is such a bad bitch, though.
Digital Circus is an alright show on its own, but the fact that it's an indie animated show just made people praise it like 1,000 times more than it's needed. Not only is it not an indie show whatsoever, being backed by Glitch Studios, which makes millions off of merch sales and streaming deals, with Digital Circus itself being streamable on Netflix. My biggest complaint with the show is that every episode has a mandatory 2 characters have a deeply intimate moment where they make themselves vulnerable with each other and emotionally open, with them later having a stronger bond together, opening up more possibilities for stories and pleasing the shipping community. But wait a minute. This show doesn't have stories. The characters' relationships go nowhere. Every episode has the same structure. Characters go on an adventure, complain about the adventure, discover some ultra epic scary lore, and have a deep intimate moment with another character. This is not good storytelling. This is appealing to the lowest form of human. Twitter users. This is why it gets all this praise for not even being all that. They act like it's the best thing ever when all they care about are the ships, the characters, and the wacky memes. Digital Circus reminds me way too much of like a 2014 webtoon where it panders to millennials, with Digital Circus pandering to babies and Twitter users. Overall, maybe a 6 out of 10. I like the animation, and Pomni is really hot.
I will fuck the shit out of that robot, man. I'm not even...
I want to throw in some that aren't the biggest shows, but Plinko and Mark just does not hit in the slightest. The character designs try too hard to be different that they end up circling around and going back to being basic or sometimes outright disgusting. The story has a simple yet interesting plot about a criminal, Plinko, getting a job where his roommate Mark works, causing mayhem and getting fired. It is a pretty simple plot, but you can't really do much with that. If they possibly got more episodes, we could see more of like sitcom-like storylines, but I don't know. I don't think it's getting picked up. Also, that fucking effect that plays over the entire video just pisses me off a lot. Maybe like a 5 out of 10. Catching Up is made by Alice Mark, an animation critic YouTuber, so you know this one's gonna be good, right? It's terrible. It's terrible. Catching Up, just like a lot of these shows, is nostalgia bait at its finest. But this time, it's just all Fairly Odd Parents. The backgrounds, the characters, even the animation style is just trying to be Fairly Odd Parents. Like, Mark, I get we like to watch, but we really shouldn't step out of the chair and try to get in on the action. The mouse holds some girls' coats, and the cat does nothing. Like the entire time, the cat has nothing. There's like no character journey. There's no character building. There's nothing. Anyways, there's a scene where the mouse watches two people making out. Sound familiar, Mark? The mouse learns to stand up for himself by desperately crying and begging for his wife to marry him. Very boring pilot, lack of jokes, and relies too much on references. The Kickstarter for episode 2 made 60 grand. Hopefully with that budget, he can make something good. Like, best comparison I can think of is Smiling Friends. Did you know one of the Only Plays guys made Smiling Friends? I wonder what else Only Plays has to do with Alice Mark. 5.5 out of 10. I like the really long Family Guy video.
Everybody loves somebody sometime.
I'm gonna try to put aside my hate towards Daft Pina to not affect my opinion of the pilot, but even if I did, it would still be a 0. This is the absolute worst of the worst. No jokes, no story, no characters, terrible animation, nothing. And this is the same guy who critiques other people's content. Daft Pina, you fat shame woman. I kid you not, I have tried to sit through this thing at least 4 times, and not a single time could I make it past 10 minutes. Like, even on 2 times speed, I just can't. I cannot get through this fucking video. It's hideous. It's terrible. Like I already said, it's a 0 out of 10. No rebrand can get you away from this pilot. One I actually like. I've known of Speederoo for a while now. I'm even subscribed to the Patreon. But what separates Punch Punch Forever from a lot of other indie shows is that it actually has a sense of humor and storytelling capability. The art style helps out a lot with it too, with the show coming off more as a passion project rather than a cash grab. It follows Go-Go, an 11-year-old competing in the human demon fighting contest, I don't know what it's called, where she will beat up demons till she wins. Wow! With the show being more like an old Japanese anime, it gets the style perfect, and practically every joke lands. The only complaint I have is that every joke that doesn't land is just insanely corny. But it's still pretty good, 9 out of 10. Every light's flickering. Can you tell how much that is bothering me? This is the big name you think of when you hear any animation. Even though it isn't. I haven't seen much of it, but this is one of the biggest talking points. Hasbin Hotel features Charlie, the daughter of Satan, opening a hotel to rehabilitate sinners to hopefully make it to heaven before the angels come down and slaughter them all. If this show was written by any other person, it could be a pretty solid show. It has an interesting gimmick, but Vivzy Pop is just not it. The biggest complaint with the show that I've heard is that the show cannot go like 5 seconds without a cuss word. And it makes the show seem more adult and mature than it really is. Yeah, that's true. They can't go 5 seconds without saying a cuss word. But the worst part about Hasbin Hotel is its missed opportunity. Hasbin Hotel has an interesting gimmick, but fails terribly, with it focusing more on being in hell than trying to get out of it, with every character just being a weird sex creep instead of an actually bad person. I know there's a few rapists, but they come off as more of a joke than an actual complex character. Not saying it's the best indie show you can have, but it's not so bad with some good storylines from time to time. 6 out of 10. A lot of these shows can be good at times, but there are so many bad indie shows that it gives a terrible look for casual viewers, with almost all of these pandering to Twitter users and babies. A lot of the bad ones have their perks, and the good ones have their flaws. But man, almost all indie shows are mid. Not bad, not good, just plain old mid. I'm not gonna act like I can do any better, but we really should just leave our ideas to the pros. Or at least not pander to idiots. Here's a tribute to all the bad indie shows that didn't make the cut. Doesn't matter. C Students is the best fucking indie show.